Yeah, we can compose a song about M.2 slots.
Pumping 130 to 140 watts through a single pin, that's just asking for trouble.
Hey guys, welcome to Realmeltan. It is time for another motherboard review. ASUS Singapore has passed us their Z590-F gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. As usual, we're going to unbox the motherboard and show you what's new and what's cool about this new motherboard. So, let's carry on with this video. First things first, we have the usual motherboard antenna. Yeah, because it's Strix board, you tend to have better antennas, so you know you have Wi-Fi on this motherboard. Good one especially. I don't know why we have a casual 1100K sitting over here.
Oh, so that's where it went to.
Yeah, we will let you know what happens to the 1100K in subsequent videos, so make sure to smash the subscribe button and click 100% bell if you're not done so. Head back to our channel. We're going to put aside our motherboard first. Usual, we have the motherboard manual, bracket for your mini fan for your VRMs. There's no fan included in this motherboard, but if you want to get the fan, I think you can buy one. I'm not sure where can you buy one, but you can get one. 2 pairs of SATA cables for your hard drives, zip ties, quick guide for how to install your components on this motherboard. Because it's a Strix board, you tend to have something cool. This is the ROG lanyard. You can put this on your back or wherever you hang on to. We'll get to this in a while. Typical cards, stickers. For Strix board, no USB drive unfortunately. You still have your CDs for your drivers.
Oh well, free frisbee.
Thermal pads for your SSDs, M.2 SSDs. Yeah, and I'm going to go to this last one. It's very interesting. This is actually a replacement for your standoff, but not just a regular standoff. I'll get to that. This is a very cool innovation. Thank you ASUS for finally coming out with this thing.
Yeah, it's the best invention since sliced bread.
Yeah man. So I'm going to put all this back together and show you what are the features on this new Z590-F motherboard. Alright guys, so we have mounted the Z590-F on our trusty rack. So first things first, of course, you can see that because it's a Strix board, the I/O shield is fixed onto it. No need to worry about forgetting to fix the I/O shield onto your case before installing it. But anyway, all Strix boards really have this feature, so don't need to worry about that. Next thing you can see that, of course, this is LGA 1200 socket, so it's for your 11th gen CPUs. Very solid VRMs and capacitors for the CPU on this motherboard. You definitely can overclock your 1100K if you want to put that. And don't need to worry because the VRMs are there to make sure that the 1100K can be used to its fullest potential. Right, Gordon?
Yes.
Yep. Another one we see here is 8+4 pin. Yes, it's inside the manual. ASUS specifically tells you to plug in the 8+4 pin. Don't miss that because 1100K uses a lot of power. Even a typical i5 draws a lot of power. If you just plug in the 4 pin, it's not enough. Gotta reiterate that later in the video again. Okay, next, yeah, typical, you have 4 RAM slots, 4 pieces of RAM, front USB Type-C, 6 SATA ports, yeah, your typical I/O standard board header if you want to put a Thunderbolt card. This board also supports your Hyper M.2 X16 RAID card. So if you want to put that, you can also do so and put it in one of the X16 slots. But we'll go to that in a while. Okay, so right now we're going to go to the star of the show, the M.2 slots as well as the PCIe slots. Ouch. You can see now we have 4 M.2 slots. Very cool for a mid-range motherboard. I have not seen this before. So the first slot is a PCIe 4.0 X4 slot, provided you plug in a 11th gen CPU. If you don't, 10th gen or below, this guy's going to turn off. Second one is a PCIe 4.0 X4 slot. Likewise, if you plug in a 10th gen, you'll be a 3.0 X4 slot. This guy is 3.0 X4. This guy is also 3.0 X4. But point of note is that if you were to plug in a M.2 SATA SSD in this guy, SATA port number 2 will be turned off. If you want to get the best bang out of the buck for every hard drive, best combination possible, plug in 1, 2, 3, 4 NVMe SSDs, and now you can have 6 additional SATA hard drives. So I don't know what kind of bonkers thing you want to get.
The world's most KTS file server.
For a mid-range motherboard, that would be quite cool actually.
That's absolutely insane actually.
Alright, going on, we have the PCIe slot configuration. Also very amazing. So Gordon mentioned earlier, he loves this slot arrangement because now you have ample spacings for your graphic cards and whatever PCIe components you want to put in your motherboard. First one is a PCIe 4.0 X16 slot. Second one is a PCIe 4.0 X4 slot. The last one is a PCIe 3.0 X4 slot. Yeah, you can put in your GPU here and you can put in maybe a capture card here. So I won't recommend you put 2 GPUs here, even though you can, because now it'll be X8, X4, but if you want to do so, you can do so. But back to our original configuration, GPU, maybe a capture card, or as Gordon mentioned, this can be used as sound card. So I think that's all the standard features for mid-range motherboard. So I'll now bring Gordon in and you'll definitely go through something that we mentioned earlier in the video. I hope you caught that one, the special M.2 thingy we've seen. So Gordon, you can take over.
So the first thing I'm going to go into is the M.2 slots. This is going to be a long one, so bear with me. Now the one thing I like about the M.2 slot covers and all that, the heat shields, is that whoever designed this board was really thinking with his head when he get through it. Now, what do I mean by that? Number one, you will notice that there are a lot of holes here and here. What are they for? They're actually for the screws that mount your motherboard onto the standoffs in the case. Why do I point out these little holes? Well, let's put it this way. There's quite a number of motherboards that I like to term they got a lot of armor plating with shields here, shields there everywhere. But the problem is when the shields are there, they cover the standoff screws. So what's the biggest problem when you have that design error? When you want to mount the motherboard into the case, this particular panel has to come out. For this board, you don't have to. All 9 holes are accessible, even with the M.2 covers on. So that is one very good point. Number 2 are the M.2 slots, and I'm about to show you a couple of things. I will open up the first M.2 slot. Okay, the one thing you will notice is that on this cover, you've got the thermal padding here, but unlike a lot of other brand M.2 covers, the screws are captive, so nothing drops out. Both screws are here. So at least you don't have to worry that the screw is gonna drop out and it's gonna fall somewhere in some stupid place that you'll never find in 1,000 years. So good job ASUS on this. You'll notice one thing though, why does it have this thing over here? Given that this is the PCIe 4.0 slot, I presume ASUS designed this slot to carry your boot drive, the one that sees the most activity. Why? Because while you have the thermal padding here, you also have the heat shield thermal padding material here as well. So it's on both sides of the SSD. So that's one thing good, because you get heat absorbed and dissipated by both sides of the M.2. But if you don't really want this piece, it can be taken out. You just detach this screw, you take out the M.2 mounting screw, and you get this piece out. So this piece is removable, so you can just put it back in, and you put a little M.2 screw back in, and it mounts as per like a normal M.2 slot, but I'm just gonna put it back in. So what you have here are options. Okay, so I'll just go and mount my first M.2 here. So this mounts on like any other typical M.2. So you got a little screw, and then you just screw it on like that, like so. So you may be thinking, every other slot is going to look exactly like that. What I'm about to show you is the real magic. So the cover for number 2, number 3, and number 4 off. So, okay. Here's the interesting part. What's all these white things here? You're about to find out. So normally at this stage, you'll probably be wondering, where are my 3 M.2 standoff screws? Let me show you how these little buggers work. Watch the magic now, you see? 1 minute is off. Next minute. Oh my god, it's magic! This little white thing rotates to hold the M.2 in place. You can see it done for the others as well. So here we go. I rotate, holds in place. I rotate, holds in place. No screws. Nothing that's gonna get dropped. This is mind-blowing. Yeah, sure, the first slot still has that little screw, but number 2, number 3, and number 4 are using this little white thing. Let me tell you, the description that I can have for this is every other motherboard brand is in 2021. ASUS is already in 3021. They are 1,000 years ahead. Why didn't anybody think of this sooner? Why? Mind blown. Right, so enough of waxing lyrical about the M.2 slot, but I think you will agree with me. This is the greatest development in M.2 since M.2 slots were invented. Let's get on to the other exciting things on this motherboard itself. The second thing I would like to point out is it's got 2 separate distinct headers other than the usual fan headers. One here which is AIO, and then you got one here which is the water pump. So most other motherboards have just one generic header called pump. Why does ASUS have 2 separate ones? There are a couple of possible reasons. One is if you're running an AIO, you use this one, because if you have an AIO, it has one wire coming from here, so nice and tidy, it sits here. If you are running a custom loop in this set. If this motherboard is mounted vertically in any other normal tower chassis, your reservoir and or pump is probably sitting around here. So it makes more sense for that guy to have his header sitting right over here. And if I'm not wrong, this particular water pump header has a higher current threshold than the AIL header, because usually a custom loop, the water pump draws more current. That's one thing good. ASUS has catered distinctively for AIO users as well as custom loop users. So good job ASUS on that. The third thing I would like to point out, it's a little bit hard to see, but you see that there's a little LED down there that, according to the manual, it will light up if you do not connect at least 8 pins in. Now, what do I mean like that? So let's say you have 8 plus 4 and you only connect 4 pins. Either that or you do this. That particular LED is going to light up, and that LED is something that you should pay particular attention to, and cause is there to warn you that you only have 4 pins in. That LED will turn off if you were to follow the manual properly, the advice like what Mel mentioned just now, and you do this. You have 8 pins in. Why is this important? Why you should never just connect a single 4 pin? Now, in previous generations of Intel CPUs, especially the i3s and the i5s for example, even at full load, the amount of current that they usually drew was less than 100 watts. A single 4-pin is rated for about 130, 140 watts like that. So those i5s with a paper TDP of 65 watts could just survive just fine on a single thing, because this is rated for 130, 140. However, this assumption does not hold true for any of today's i5s even. Because even though, yes, on paper, the i5 11400, for example, has a TDP of 65, which a single 4-pin can handle. The problem is that in the first 30 seconds of what we will term as the PL2 state, if you run it on load, it will draw a maximum of not 65 watts, it will draw a maximum of up to about 130 to 140 watts. Pumping 130 to 140 watts through a single pin which is rated for 130 to 140 watts, that's just asking for trouble. So you should plug both pins in. So a single 8-pin is rated for 270 to 280 watts. Just nice for that i5. However, this motherboard comes with 8 plus 4. Under what situation should you absolutely positively make sure that extra 4-pin is plugged in? That would be if you are running either the Core i7 11700K or you're running the 11900K, because those two buggers on their PL2 state can draw in excess of like 270, even more, which is near the technical limit of a single 8-pin. So if you have a 11700K or 11900K, please make sure that not only you have the 8-pin plugged in, you also have a 4-pin plugged in this. In any case, if you're running anything lower than that like an i5, if you have the 8 plus 4, just plug 8 plus 4. Having more cable plugged in to distribute the electrical load is always better than having not enough. Because what happens if you overload the cables, you may potentially cause damage to the motherboard, you may potentially kill the motherboard, or in extreme situations, you may even have a fire around here. This is the rear I/O itself. So you got the new ALC4080 codec from Realtek right over here, the Supreme FX. Got your typical outputs. So the one thing I like about this is that unlike a lot of other motherboards where every one of these is black and chic looking, at least it's all multicolored. At least you know, the green one, that's where my speakers go to. The pink one, that's where my microphone go to. Here you have the Wi-Fi 6E plus Bluetooth 5.2. These are the places where the antennas attached to. So you got a couple of USB 3.2 Gen 2. Is it? I don't know. There's Gen 2, Gen 1. This is getting a bit confusing. Gen 2, Gen 2, Gen 2, Gen 2, USB Type-C to USB Type-C. USB 3.2 Gen 1 is here, the blue. And then you got USB 2 down here. 2.5 gigabit Ethernet down here. You got a clear CMOS button down here. So in case you do an overclock and then you screw up, cut the power to your set, and then you just press hold down for about 10 seconds and yeah, your BIOS is reset. This button down here is the BIOS flashback button. Just take your updated BIOS, plug in, press this, your BIOS is updated. Then of course you got HDMI and you got DisplayPort, although to be rather frank, if you're gonna buy this board, you're probably gonna get a GPU, although chances are with GPU prices the way they are, you may probably be using the onboard until you can find a GPU.
Yeah, we can compose a song about M.2 slots.
Yes, a whole 5-minute song singing the praises of this guy's M.2 slots.
Yeah, I think we can easily conclude that we love this board.
Yes, definitely. The one thing that strikes me about this board is somebody clearly was really using their head when they designed this board.
I mean, which ASUS motherboards the people were not thinking anyway.
True, ASUS has always been very good at designing their boards to be very builder friendly, but this board especially took that to the next level. The fact that you no longer have to worry about missing M.2 screws, that's one thing good. This board will tell you that hey, you didn't plug in enough CPU power in connectors.
It tells you which header to use for your CPU, fan and pump.
This board is designed to handhold an enthusiast as they are building this thing. So I'm actually looking forward to part 2 when we actually power this guy on and see whether that holds out in the BIOS.
Yeah, it's not gonna be just any power on, you know.
Yes, it's gonna be a one heck of a crazy ass power on.
I hope that the AMD boards be as great in the coming future, we don't know.
I think this one, yeah, they really took it to the next level. This is Intel board. Let's see if ASUS, their AMD Ryzen boards or whatever comes after that, will also hold that same standard of
Amazing design features.
yes, as
Yeah.
well.
Write down in the comments what do you think of our review of this Z590-F. Like this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up. With that, goodbye.
Cheers.